Hello everybody, hope y'all are doing good out there. In this video we're going to be taking a look at an interesting case knife. Now I'm going to ramble a little bit in this video and talk about this and that. So for those of you who just want to skip to the knife itself, I'll post down in the comments the exact time where I get into looking at the knife itself in case you want to skip ahead. But recently I did a video a few weeks ago and it was called Carry the Knife You Like. And in that video, I talked about how we shouldn't just carry a knife because it's supposed to be really nice or because everybody else likes it. We should really carry the knives that we like, the knives that we enjoy ourselves. And I've been doing that lately. I haven't been really looking at the knives that are really neat or that are really rare or that are really unique. I've been looking at the knives that I really like. Sometimes there's a rhyme and reason to it. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes I just like a particular model. Well, sometimes you need to try something different, do something a little unique. And this time I've decided to do both, to get something I like at one hand and to try something that I'm not so sure about on the other hand, and that's what I'm doing in this video here. This right here is my first 2025 case knife. That sounds crazy, but it's true. I don't have any other case knives from 2025. Nevertheless, you can see February 27th, 2025, so this was made early in the year. We know it's stainless steel because of the black box here, but nevertheless, you can see what this is. It's an orange synthetic smooth peanut. Now, this is what I'm talking about when I say I'm trying something new and sticking to what I like. Y'all know I really like the peanut pattern. It's about my favorite, just because I enjoy carrying it and using it a whole lot. But what I'm trying unique is the orange. I usually don't much care for the color orange. I really don't know why, but for the most part, I don't love that color. And so in this video, I'm going to be trying out a new color. I'm going to see if I grow to really like it and enjoy it. I have found in life that a lot of things I started off not really liking at all turned out to be some of my favorite. And that's kind of odd, but it's true sometimes. And there's a story as to why I went with this orange. And the story behind it is the pawn shop that I bought the squirrel sodbuster from. Here it is right here. He had some multiple knives in, used knives in. Anyways, when I was looking at it, the two I was wanting to look at was this yellow Delrin Sodbuster Jr. This is a beautiful knife. And I wanted to look at this one. And I like the peanut pattern so much, I'm all the time keeping an eye out for them. And he had an orange peanut, but it didn't have a shield, and the shield had fell out. And while we were in the desk, I wanted to look at that knife, and I looked it over, and it was a little rough. It had been used, and it was a little rough, maybe even abused a little bit. But nevertheless, you could have got that knife, and Case would have sent you a shield for that knife. So you could have repaired it. And so I looked at it, and I asked him, how much you want for it, and he gave me a price, and I felt, considering how much the knife sells for new, it just wasn't worth it. If I was going to buy it, I'd go ahead and get it new. But like I say, I don't love orange a whole lot, and they had this sodbuster, so I picked this sodbuster up instead. These are my two favorite patterns from Case, probably. But anyways, over the next few weeks, I kept thinking about that orange peanut. I don't know why, but every now and then I would just simply think about that peanut. And I thought, well, I'm going to keep an eye on them. And if I see one for a good price, if I see one go on sale for a good price, I might get it. So I kept an eye out. Sure enough, it happened. They went on sale, and so I got one. So let's get this knife open now. Let me know down in the comments, have you ever had any knives that you've been thinking about getting and really didn't think you'd like much and ended up really liking it? I've found that happens to me a lot of times, and we're going to see if it happens this time. Only time and use will tell. There we've got our baby dock knife. That lets us know that this knife is 2025, since that's the vault pattern for this year. We got our usual papers, and then we got our empty case box. Now, I have had this unwrapped, and I've messed around with it. I wrapped it back up for the video to make the unboxing a little more exciting. There you can see that orange is shining through. Now let me know down in the comments, How do y'all feel about the color orange? I know some people don't like it as much. Some people really like the color orange. I think the reason why I haven't liked it so much is um, I've always really liked the color yellow. And when it comes to like a shirt or a jacket, sometimes if you're going to wear a high visibility shirt or jacket, I always chose the yellow over the orange just because I thought it looked better. And I'd kind of let my preference in that regard kind of spill over into my knife selection. And I've always thought these yellow knives were so classy that I always liked these. And because I liked these so much, I never really gave the orange a try. But I've decided to try them out now. But let's take a quick overview of this peanut. We've got our brass pins, as is common with case. We've got a nickel silver badge. At least I believe those badges are nickel silver. I might be wrong on that. We got nickel silver bolsters. Here on the back, we've got our brass liners, stainless steel back springs. Being a classic peanut design, you got 3 liners and 2 springs. Same story for the back. This is the classic peanut design. Your first blade is going to be the clip blade, stainless steel. And one thing I really like about this is these orange ones come with the stonewash finish instead of the mirror polish. Let me grab a mirror polished peanut just so we can see the difference here. So here's a mirror polished peanut. It's a lot more reflective. And this right here is what they call a stonewashed finish. You can see the finish is a little bit different. We'll go ahead and pull out one more here. And this is going to be a satin as ground finish. On the satin as ground finish, it's going to be most common on these brown Delrin peanuts. You'll notice that it has the marks in the blade, the milling marks, the machining marks, I mean. Anyway, so that right there is 3 different finishes on the same stainless steel blade. And I didn't have any of these with the stone-washed finish, so I was wanting to try it out and just to see what it was like. I like the way it looks. It's very interesting. And it would be easy, I think, to buff up to a mirror polish if you ever should need to restore the knife. And we'll just throw in our old carbon steel yellow synthetic peanut right in there with them. If we throw in this white Sparks peanut, we've got a good selection of what Case offers if you want a Delrin peanut. Depending on the blade steel you want, or the texturing, whether you want it smooth like the yellow and the orange, jigged like the white and the brown, or have this molding, this worm groove molding on this black gum fuddy knife. There's lots of variety, and the synthetic peanuts are some of my favorites. But nevertheless, getting back to this orange knife, on the stone-washed finish, the first stainless steel case I ever got with a stone-washed finish was the squirrel knife, which we already showed. And I like the way it looks, so I thought I wanted to try it again, and it made sense to try it with the orange handle. And like I say, this orange handle's really grown on me lately. I may end up really liking it a lot. I will say that the orange itself has a really nice sheen to it. It's more vibrant than the yellow, is the best way I know how to say it. I like Case's yellow. I like that it's so muted and so mild. I wouldn't want it to be glowing like yellow, like a neon shirt we wear when we're, like, if you're weed eating on the side of the road or something. They're real bright to catch your attention. I like that Case's yellow is kind of mild, but this orange is very bright and very eye-catching, and so that's kind of neat, and I kind of like the variety right there. But yeah, the main blade, I didn't actually have to sharpen this one, and that's rare for me not to have to sharpen a case knife. Now, I did run it over my 1000 grit ceramic stone a few swipes, but I do that regularly anyway. And it may not have needed it, I just kind of did it automatically. Now, your secondary blade's going to be your classic pin blade. And again, same story with the edge on this one. Look what a good job they did. Look how even it is. And it's razor sharp. Both of these blades, I got them where they can shave. Super sharp. And I mean, I did a video a while back showing the use of the peanut. I used the black gum fuddy peanut and did a few common tasks with it. And you also saw just how good this little pen knife is. There we can see our number. It's a 4220. The 20 on the end refers to it being a peanut pattern. All these peanuts are going to have a 20 on them. The first 2 is going to be a reference to how many blades. If you have a single blade peanut, it'll be a 1. And then the first number is a reference to the handle material. I don't have a peanut that's a 4, and that's another reason why I wanted to add this one to the collection. I have a yellow, and of course the yellow is represented by a 3. I've got a 6. Now 6 could be represented by any number of them. 6 can refer to just a jigged Delrin, like this brown right there. That's a 6220. But 6 can also be a reference to some kind of bone, whether it be a saw-cut bone like this Caribbean blue bone peanut. That would be a 6. Or it could be a regular, plain-out jigged bone like this red pocket-worn peanut. So 6 could refer to any number of peanuts, but I was wanting to add a 4, and the green synthetic would also count as a 4, and I think I know the red would also. The black would be a number 2. It would have its own, and lastly I have a stag, which would be a 5220 right here. But nevertheless, I was wanting to add a 4 to the collection. And so this orange knife was a good way to add a 4 to the collection. Now, as for the build quality, the springs and the snap is really good. Peanuts break in as you use them. I've noticed that. But you can hear it's got a good snap to it. And same thing with the clip blade. You can hear it's got a nice firm snap. Good half stop. I always liked the action on the peanut. Next to the mini trapper, the peanut's got some of the best action, I think, of any of the case knives. But, so yeah, well, there's 2 things also that's interesting about this knife that we can address. When it comes to sintering, I sintered the blade just a little more. Neither one was rubbing, but I've got a particular way I like them, and it's so easy to do that I'm in the habit of just putting them exactly like I like them. It takes me about a minute, and I've got them perfect, and I'll never have to mess with it again. So I did do that. They weren't rubbing or nothing, and it wasn't a big deal, but since I can, I went ahead and did it. As for blade play, this is the first case knife that I've gotten in a while that has a little bit of blade play. Now, it doesn't have much blade play, and I'm going to do an experiment with it. To tell you the truth, it's almost completely gone. I've noticed this before. Sometimes if a knife, when it's new, has a very little bit of blade play, a lot of times it'll disappear with use. My white peanut had a little bit of blade play and it disappeared with use. I've seen that with many others. I believe my brown one, if I remember right, did the same thing. And I've seen that multiple times, where that if there's a little bit of blade wobble, as you use the knife, it will disappear. Now, if it's got a lot, if you can rock it and hear it clicking as you rock it, it's not going to solve itself. You're going to have to tighten the bolster and pin it, which I've done many times. Like I did on this particular trapper right here. I did a video on that a while back. As I used this one, it got a little bit of blade play, and so we just tightened it up, and you can see everything's good and completely solid. But nevertheless, this peanut right here, I've only been using it for a day, opening it and closing it, and it's almost none at all already. You can see there it's basically non-existent. So I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to use it, and I believe that will completely disappear. But even if that little bit does not disappear, it just ain't going to hurt nothing. The pin blade, of course, as usual, I don't know why, but usually the secondary blade has no wobble. If the first does, and it doesn't, it's rock solid. And this first is getting sturdier. So yeah, I'm just going to use it. That's no big deal. But if there's a lot of wobble, I like to fix it. But there's so little. Can y'all even see that flexing? It's so little. Plus, the peanut has such a thin little blade that some people would grab it by the tip, and it's the blade itself flexing. It's not that it's wiggling in the handle. But one thing I will say, if your blade is just a little bit looser in the handle, you get two big benefits. One is it makes the action better. It'll be snappier action if the blade isn't, crazy tight in there. The other thing is if you're cutting potatoes or something where you're going to be getting some starch or some grit in the pivot, having a little bit of clearance is a good thing. Because if it gets too tight, you could actually end up locking the blade up, making it hard to open and close. With a little bit of clearance, it keeps it working smooth. So that is an interesting thing to note right there. The other thing I want to note is I saw something on this knife that I've never seen on a case. Well, let me be careful. I do not believe I've ever seen on a modern case knife. I've seen it on lots of older ones, never seen it on a new one. And that was, when you look for gaps, as you can see, the back springs and everything looks perfectly good. There is not even a bit of gap on this one. It's just absolutely solid. But there is a little bit of a gap on the back Delrin here between the cover and the spring. Can you see that? It's not much. It's very minute. But there is just a very little bit of gap right there. And I found that interesting. Now, it's not going to hurt nothing. That Delrin is solid as it can be, and I've never seen it rise up like this. And I don't know how that happened. I'm wondering, because if you look, the pin is done perfect on there. All the corners meet up perfect just as they're supposed to be. It looks like it's built right. I have no idea why that Delrin is wanting to flex up a little bit like that. But nevertheless, that's kind of odd. I'm wondering if it may be this knife, because I got it off the internet. I'm wondering if it maybe got really hot somewhere, and that caused the Delrin to warp a little bit. I don't know, but I'm kind of suspicious of that. Just because of the way that that's rising up a little bit, I'm wondering if it didn't get hot. Because like I say, the pins and everything are just perfect, and it fits in there just like it's supposed to. Nevertheless, this Delrin is so stiff, it's so strong that I just put a little bit of super glue down in that gap and just held it nice and steady. You can see that see how it all lines up perfectly there and all fits like it's supposed to. So I just put a little bit of super glue down in there just to kind of sturdy it up. And of course, it's just rock solid. I can't pinch it, can't move it, can't budge it. That'll hold this knife good for the rest of its lifetime. Oh, and before I forget, what I should have done in the very beginning, weighing it to let you know how much it weighs. My yellow peanut weighs 1.20 to 1.25 is normal. So we'll see what this one weighs. I think it's going to be right in that ballpark. But that can't be right. 1.15? Wow, that would be the lightest peanut I've got. 1.20. Wow, that is weird. How's that possible? I don't know how that's possible. Let's take a closer look right here. So how can this orange one be lighter than the yellow one? I don't know. Thickness looks basically identical. The orange one's a little more square than this yellow one. It's a little more rounded, but usually on a case knife, if it's more square, it's heavier, not lighter. Now, why I'm shocked about this is because my yellow peanut has a different clip blade in it from my other peanuts. And I want to show you right here. If you'll notice, this yellow peanut's blade is not as wide. Or from the tip to the spine, it's not as wide. About the same, I guess it's the same thickness for sure, but it's not quite as wide from the edge to the spine. And so that should add a little weight to the stainless steel one right here, this orange one. Let's pull out the secondary pin blade. There's an even bigger difference here. Y'all can see right there, the blades are shaped different. See how there's almost no belly on this yellow peanut? That's how it was when it was brand new. It's not been over sharpened or nothing. But to showcase this even further, let me pull out another yellow Delrin peanut. This one right here is the same as this one, just it's the Shepherd Hill exclusive with a cross and the stainless steel blades. And, well, let me do the pin blade first. See how big of a difference there is in the blades, both on a yellow synthetic peanut. But it's because one's a carbon, and it's because one's stainless. Now, I have seen carbon steel case peanuts with the stainless size blade in them. And I haven't figured that out yet, but it's interesting, nevertheless. See the difference in the blade size right there? And these are both yellow Delrin peanuts, 21, 2022. But one's stainless and one's a carbon steel. But why I was showing that one is I was wanting to weigh it here. See what this peanut with the cross on it is. Because it's got the same blade, same two blades that our orange one does. And this orange one's 1.15. Look at that, 1.25. 1.15. Why, that is so interesting. This is the lightest peanut in the collection. Now, when the peanut's closed, it's around 2 7/8, 2 3/4 long. They can vary a little bit as the years have went by, and depending on the particular knife, but they're somewhere around that. The blade itself, the sharpened edge, is about 2 inches of sharpened edge. If you count the whole blade itself on the main blade, it's just a little bit longer than that. But let's end out this video by doing a knife comparison with some other popular case models. Here's a tiny toothpick. Here's a mini trapper. Here's a full-size 54 pattern trapper. And there's a case 37 Sodbuster Jr. On the top, we have an 079 sleeve board. On the bottom, we have an 087 jackknife. And here on the bottom, we have the slimline trapper. And on the top, we have the medium stockman, the 18 pattern. Here's a Leatherman Bond, which is just about my favorite multi-tool. This and the peanut are a great combination. Here's a Lamy Safari fountain pen. And here's a classic Zippo right here for size comparison. So, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What do you think of this orange Delrin? I like the smooth Delrin so much. It feels so good in the hands. This is a really handsome looking knife. There ain't no way around that. It looks really great. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels in the hand. You can get these for around $40 to $42 brand new. Beautiful knife. I'm sure I'm going to really enjoy carrying this one and using this one. And like I said, with that little bit of blade play, this will be a great test to see if this little bit disappears just like it did in my other knives. Your knives are meant to be used. We end up collecting them, and it's good, that's fine, but they're meant to be used. When this blade is whittled down so much it looks like a toothpick, you know, they're going to wear out with time. They're going to get dropped, they're going to get scratched. Use them and enjoy them. That's what they're made for. Y'all have a good day. Keep your knives sharp.